I have been a special education advocate for families since about 1987. I got into this field because my youngest child was born with a connective tissue disorder. She had some pretty severe disabilities. She had some severe health problems. She was in a wheelchair from the time she was 7 until she was about 13. And so I just kind of started off with the experiences I had with her. And special education advocacy throughout the whole United States that's what happens. Parents are successful with their own children, so they get called by other parents to help them. Because there really aren't that many training programs. There's no requirement in special education advocacy for there to be any education or training. It's really not a profession, it's more like a cottage industry. We went to this meeting, which at the time I thought was like a parent-teacher conference, and I was told that because she had a physical disability, that the best place for her to go to school was to be put on a bus and taken into Lafayette to Murdoch School, which is where all the kids with physical disabilities went to school, because all the services were there. And I was completely mystified by this because she was almost 6 years old. She'd gone on vacation with us. She went to church with us. She went out to restaurants with us. She went everywhere. She was completely included in the community. And now all of a sudden, she had to go to a different school than her brothers and sisters. I didn't understand that. And we all have within us a little inner voice that tries to tell us when something's wrong, and we're usually not very good about listening to it, but my little inner voice was screaming at me, this doesn't sound right. She shouldn't have to be put on a bus and spend 45 minutes on a bus, one way, just to go to school. And we had some really, really good independent physical and occupational therapists at the time, and they said, why don't you contact this attorney in Frankfort, Indiana, because he had a child with a physical disability and he was able to get things changed. So my husband and I went over to see him. We made an appointment, went to see him. He wrote one letter and the school just kind of folded and said, okay, yeah, she can go to her regular school. And I thought that was great. I thought that was wonderful. And I still knew this much about special education. As a matter of fact, I like to tell the parents that I work with, you are so much smarter than I was when my child was your age. Because my daughter's first IEP had one goal, and it was that she would successfully complete the requirements of kindergarten. And I thought that was wonderful. That's what I wanted her to do. You know, I wanted her to complete the requirements of kindergarten. Never occurred to me that the only way you could really measure that goal was if she didn't do it. And then it's kind of like an oops goal. Oops, what are we going to do? She didn't complete the requirements. As time went on and I learned a little bit more about special education, we began to get a really, really strong advocacy movement in Tippecanoe County. We had in-source come in. They trained 100 people. We had over 100 people at that training. And out of that training evolved a very strong advocacy group. And we started to learn, we started to file complaints. Over a period of 2.5 years, we had, I don't know how many Office for Civil Rights complaints. As a matter of fact, they threatened to come rent an apartment in Lafayette because they were there so much. And we had a number of parents who requested hearings, including us. In short, we were able to make a lot of changes. We had people filing state complaints. They were just active all over the place. And in the course of after our hearing and after our court case, where we were able to recover attorney's fees for our hearing, we had 2 superintendents that retired early. The director of special education retired early. We had several school board members who declined to run again for school board, and things were really, really good for several years. What I'm seeing now is we're fighting the same battles that we fought back in the late 80s and early 90s. We have kids on special education school buses who are losing I don't know how many minutes a day because they're arriving at school late and they're leaving early. We have transportation issues that are based solely on special education busing. We are hearing the same things today that we heard back in the 80s and 90s. We would love to do that, but we don't have the money for it, things like that. So things tend to run in cycles, and I think what's happening now is we are into a cycle where we need to have some very, very strong parent advocacy. We need to have parents actually get involved. If I had it to do all over again with the same tools I had, I would not change a thing. Because I look at my daughter today, I look at how successful she is, both in her personal life, in her work, in her social life, and I did a good job with the tools that I had at the time, and I wouldn't change a thing. But I have better tools now, and those are the tools I try to give to other parents.